All right, Shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. The surveillance state didn't need to watch you. Now it can. Okay? The surveillance state, right? And as we often talk about, this surveillance state is a major component of the beast system, which we're now in the midst of. Okay? It says a surveillance state is a country where the government engages in pervasive monitoring of large numbers of its citizens and visitors, often justified as necessary for national security or crime prevention. Okay? It says mass surveillance. Mass surveillance is the intricate surveillance of an entire or substantial fraction of a population in order to monitor that group of citizens. The surveillance is often done via the use of technologies that collect data on a large mass of individuals. Mass surveillance has often been cited by intelligence agencies. For example, the American National Security Agency, as necessary to fight terrorism and to prevent crime and social unrest. All right. So again, we're in the midst of it, man. Right? Let's pull this up in a quick summary. All right. Bear with me 1 second. So here we go. Again, the surveillance state didn't need to watch you. Now it can. All right. And these flock cameras, okay, you have something called Palantir, which we, brought out before here. Okay. The definition of Palantir, all right, going back to the Lord of the Rings, used for scouring and telepathic communication, allowing users to see distant places or events. The term comes from Quenya, words from far and watch over. All right, so this man has the ability to watch from far, to watch over everything. All right, and we'll get that in the scriptures in Jeremiah, the 5th chapter. Esau would be like a leopard watching over the cities, right? But let's read the summary here in this article real quick. Okay, so it says the impact of AI on privacy. It says the end of security through obscurity. Historically, mass surveillance was limited by the sheer volume of data, which was impossible for humans to manually review. AI as the catalyst. Artificial intelligence eliminates this barrier by effortlessly sorting through massive data sets, finding needles in haystacks, stripping away the practical protections of the past, all right? And that's the power that he has through this technology, right? The scope of modern surveillance, vast private networks, companies like Flock Safety and Motorola capture billions of images monthly via thousands of license plate readers across American communities. Comprehensive tracking, when combined with facial recognition, drones, and AI searchable databases, these tools create an unprecedented machine readable record of citizens, movements, and associations. All right. So this stuff knows everything, man, about you, where you going, your habits, locations, all of that. Warrantless pre-crime monitoring. Vendors now sell anomaly detection software that flags individuals for unusual behavior without a warrant or evidence of a crime, bypassing democracy because this infrastructure is built by private corporations via local contracts. It is deployed without public voting or legislative approval. See? Let's see what else we got. Inevitable abuse and public backlash. Misuse by authorities. Surveillance tools are inevitably weaponized for personal use. Right? Because as you're gonna see, you got these cops that have been tracking down ex-wives, ex-girlfriends, all right, through the flock cameras and all of that, stalking people, It says, for example, law enforcement officers in multiple states have been caught using these databases to stalk spouses, mistresses, and rivals, right? Like I just said, it's a spirit, you know? It says, growing resistance since early 2025. At least 30 cities have canceled contracts with surveillance vendors as the public becomes aware of the system's capabilities, right? This is causing uproar. Okay? Let's see what else we can read. The remedy and ethical implications, local accountability, because these systems are contracted locally. Citizens can directly confront city councils, county commissions, and sheriffs to demand transparency and policy changes. All right, so people are not with it, man. So you get it. So anyway, let's read this in Jeremiah chapter 5 real quick. All right. Okay. So this is Jeremiah chapter 5 and verse 6. And it reads, it says, wherefore a lion out of the forest shall slay them, and a wolf of the evening shall spoil them. A leopard shall watch over their cities, right? Now, Esau would be that leopard that's watching over the cities via this technology, man. All right. And to qualify it, this is dealing with the, the destruction of Judah and Jerusalem by the hands of the Babylonians. Okay. Which is spiritual, because the Babylonians today would be the Edomites, right? So Esau would be that leopard today that's watching over the cities. As we just read that definition of Palantir, it meant, it says to mean far and watch over. So through this beast system, this is what he's able to do. All right. He's tracking license plates. He knows your location, your habits, where you are at all times. Okay. So there's no hiding from this man. There's no so-called going off the grid. All right. He knows everything. Okay. And this technology is what makes him omnipotent. All right. This is like a left-hand angel, like the elder brothers say. This is like his angels on the left-hand side, all seeing and all knowing, It says a leopard shall watch over the cities. Everyone that goeth out thence shall be torn in pieces, because their transgressions are many and their backslidings are increased, right? Just want to read that in the chat. All right, again. This is back in Jeremiah 5 and 6. It says, what do the lion and wolf and leopard represent? The animals create a picture of an escapable destruction and judgment. See? A lion out of the forest shall slay them. A lion is powerful and deadly. The imagery emphasizes that Judah's enemies will come against them with overwhelming force, right? That's the spirit. A wolf of the evening shall spoil them. The wolf represents another predator coming upon them, emphasizing danger and vulnerability. Spoil means to plunder or ravage. A leopard shall watch over the cities. The leopard is known for speed and stealth. The image is that there would be no safe escape from the approaching judgment, even if their fortified cities would not provide security. These three predators together communicate something like this. Judgment is surrounding you. There is nowhere to hide. And that's the spirit, man. There's nowhere to hide, because these cameras, all right, he's able to tap into everywhere. All right. The surveillance state didn't need to watch you. Now it can. Okay. He's everywhere. The drones, the flock cameras, they got everything. They got everybody, watched, categorized, It says, why was this happening? The verse itself gives the reason. Because their transgressions are many and their backslidings are increased. Right? There are two important ideas here. Transgressions, deliberate violations of the Most High's commandments. Backslidings equal turning away from the Lord after previously knowing his ways. It says, who were the predators historically? Jeremiah's immediate historical setting is Judah and Jerusalem before the Babylonian destruction. See, just to qualify it. So that's really what it's going into, but we're applying it now in the spirit, Okay, Esau being that leopard that shall watch over the cities. All right, so that's what's going on now. See? So let's read this one here. This is from the New York Times. All right, dealing with these flock cameras, the surveillance state that we're in now, right? So the headline here says flock cameras can track every car in America. Police love them, citizens don't. In Texas, there's one thing liberals and conservatives agree on. They don't want cameras trained on their cars, all right? So people, there's videos online that people are, tearing down these cameras or ripping them off, cutting the poles down, things like that. All right, let's see what we can take from this real quick too. If we can get any information out of this. All right, give me 1 second. Let's let this pull up. Okay, here in the quick summary, it says overflew. I said, that's crazy. Okay, so it says here in the quick summary, overview of flock safety. Mass Surveillance Network, Flock Safety is a private company that has deployed 120,000 license plate reading cameras across every U.S. state except Alaska. Widespread adoption. The company contracts with 7,000 law enforcement agencies, representing 40% of all police departments in the country. See? How it works. The solar-powered cameras capture images of passing cars and use AI to log license plates, vehicle make, color, and unique features. This data is fed into a searchable, nationally connected database that tracks vehicle movements. See? So you get it. All right. The controversies in misuse, abuse of power. Officers have been disciplined or fired for using cameras to track romantic partners. All right, as we read earlier. Okay. And the rest reads. So you get it. Right. So let's check out this video here just to add more to it.
Flock surveillance cameras are catching flack. Privacy concerns are at the forefront of this discussion after a reported 50 law enforcement officers used the technology for unauthorized purposes, including to stalk women. Now, cities and counties across the country are rejecting the use of the cameras altogether. For more, let's bring in the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, Glenn Jacobs. Mayor Jacobs, thank you so much for being here. These are no ordinary license plate readers. They can track cars by dents or by bumper stickers. Cops in your county wanted $1 million worth until, as the New York Post writes, you, the former WWE star, chokeslammed the deal. Why?
Well, Peter, first of all, thanks for having me on. As you said, these are not your typical or conventional license plate readers. They're a lot more than that. This debate is framed about law enforcement versus and public safety versus privacy. Really, I want law enforcement to have all the tools that they need. At the same time, those tools have to be constitutional and they have to be safe. I'm sure you all saw a story just 2 days ago where a lady in Wisconsin was boxed in by police. Officers had their weapons drawn because a flock camera had flagged her car as being involved in a murder. There was another story very similar to that a few weeks ago where a family was pulled over. Again, police get out of their cars because they think it's a very dangerous situation. They thought it was a stolen car. It was not. It was an error with the flock cameras. Those are not isolated incidents. Those may be more dramatic than what we've seen otherwise, but this system is notoriously erroneous. There's a city in California, 71% of the hits were the wrong license plate. And then I believe that the system, because it is a mass surveillance system, is unconstitutional as well. So we're talking about something that is not only not safe, it's unconstitutional.
Yeah, you're going to have people getting framed for crimes they didn't do. All right, it's going to be all types of false reports, people unjustly locked up, things like that. So this is going to be, it's going to get crazy, man. All right. But again, we're in the midst of this beast system now. It's all part of that. All right. Surveillance state, right? You know, the pushing of the chip. Okay. Everything, man. Social credit scores, which we'll tap into that in a second too. It's all coming to pass. All right.
And to your point, I did a Google News search just of flock cameras, and these were the first 3 results. Officer allegedly used flock license plate cameras to track boyfriend's ex-wife. 6 Savannah police employees placed on leave over possible misuse of flock cameras. And then Mooresville, North Carolina police investigating 10 cases of suspected flock camera misuse by officers. Is it just me, or is this a lot like the days of Edward Snowden, where he taught us all about these mass surveillance tools? And a big part of his point was people who work for the government will use these things to stalk exes or stalk the cute girl across the hall, or others who are not police targets.
Right. As you pointed out, we've seen dozens of cases now of rogue officers misusing this technology. And since Anthony Fauci is back in the news, can you imagine what would have happened during COVID if someone like Anthony Fauci would have had the ability to track people, to encourage local and state health departments to track people using a technology like this? It would have been a complete dystopia. So there are a lot of issues, as you say, privacy, abuse, ultimately just this warrantless mass surveillance, which is anathema to America.
There are some success stories with this, though. There was a 17-year-old last month who was killed in a hit and run in Bakersfield, California. Police say that they caught the driver in this hit and run with flock cameras. What have the police in your county told you about wanting to have tools to solve crimes like that?
Well, sure. And again, this is not about depriving them of the tools. It's about figuring out how these tools can be used in an appropriate manner that is consistent with the Constitution. And as we've seen in dozens of cases, they have been abused. This is not the last time we'll also have this debate about new technology emerging. And until it's ready to go and until there are safeguards put in place, there needs to be a nationwide pause, at least, put on the deployment of these flock cameras. There is no federal regulatory framework in place that governs them. The laws regarding license plate readers in Tennessee date from 2014 with one very minor update in 2021. The technology has advanced significantly since then. So we want them to have the tools they need. At the same time, those tools have to conform to the Constitution.
The folks at Flock knew that we were going to talk to you. They sent us a statement. Part of it says, data is automatically deleted after 30 days by default unless an agency establishes a different retention period. But you made a great point, Mayor Jacobs, about what somebody like Anthony Fauci might have done with this stuff if he had it 5 years ago. We will stay on top of this. Mayor Glenn Jacobs.
Yeah, but they're going to do it again. You know, they bring another type of demic or whatever. You know, they push that chip or whatever the case may be. And that's exactly what it's going to be used for. All right. So this man has the power to come after any and anybody. Right. Real quick, let's add some more here. All right. Because we are in the midst of the beast. All right. Here's another point. I saw this a couple of days ago. This is from the Wall Street Journal. It says for Reddit user Tired Thumb, no subjects seem off limits until they crossed a Homeland Security red line. All right. So check this out. All right. And the headline here, right? It says how ICE is weaponizing social media against its critics. Agency says its surveillance program searches for threats to agents, but critics see free speech infringements, man. So that's the social credit score. All right, what you put out online, you know, your opinions, the things that you post, all right, against ICE or, you know, any type of government official, what's going on, these technocrats, what they're doing, all right, they're going to come after you, see? All tied into that surveillance state, right? It says in the recent months, ICE has deployed a round-the-clock digital dragnet to scour the public internet from Facebook to Instagram to X for speech that could endanger the agency's mission. The government has paid millions to private contractors to surface everything from potential threats to agents to activities that could disrupt ICE operations. According to federal documents, contractors and former Homeland Security investigation agents, right? So they cracking down. Okay? The program has ensnared U.S. citizens and activist groups that alert community members about ICE activity. Contractors prepare daily reports and dossiers on threat actors, identifying the poster's name, location, date of birth, workplace, social security number, vehicle registration, and criminal history when possible. So they know everything about you, man. And it's all tied into a database. So whatever you say is going to be monitored, it's going to be tracked. Okay? It says to unmask anonymous online critics, DHS has sent hundreds of subpoenas to social media companies according to people familiar with the matter. Its agents have tracked down Americans at work, on the road, asking them to sign letters acknowledging their online speech about ICE may be a crime. See? So it's going, hey, your so-called constitutional rights, your freedom of speech is done for, man. Okay? Last part, DHS says it's trying to protect its agents and their families for coordinated campaigns of violence that have fueled an 8,000% increase in death threats since Trump took office. See? So they're they're quote unquote trying to protect their agents, man, but it's bigger than that. All right, this is where we at. All right? Jacob's trouble, man. Time like no other. Check this out, man. All right, and we'll get that too. Okay?
People of color. Remember I told you that they would be hunting people of color in America? Well, now Donald Trump and Marco Rubio have got every moron Fox News watching patriot and fake ass patriot in America getting in their trucks and ready to hunt people of color. Oh, we're gonna hunt everybody. We got a purge coming. We gonna purge America of all Islamic radicals and all these black gangsters and all they're doing is they're forcing the weak-minded
And I want to say this too. It makes sense on how, it comes to mind like Vocab Malone and these Christians, how they want to tie us to Islam. It's all part of a bigger purpose, a bigger plan. So they can lump us all together into one. So when they come down with that great wrath, all right, as we've been warning you through the Spirit, all right, Esau is getting ready to come down upon everybody, Real quick, Lamentations, when he said he's going to hunt down people of color, right? Was it Lamentations 4? All right. Lamentations 4 and bear with me. Lamentations 4 and 17, it says, as for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. And our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us, right? And you, Jake, still trust in the system. You still believe in voting and protesting as if that's going to change your plight here. All right? You're going to the same nation that oppressed you and destroyed you, man. Okay? America's not going to save you. All right? And you're going to find that out. Okay? That you Jakes out there that still believe that you can make a change in this place, that America can be for you, You're getting ready to find out in the worst way possible. As you see, we're in the midst of the surveillance state now. All right? Social credit scores. You got to watch what you post. This man's getting ready to come after everybody. You got these race wars brewing up. Okay? A time like no other, man. All right? Understand that. Lamentations 4 and 18. They hunt our steps, as he was talking about, They're ready to hunt down people of color. They hunt our steps that we cannot go on our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. This is NLT. Lamentations 4 and 18, it says, we couldn't go into the streets without danger to our lives. Our end was near, our days were numbered. We were doomed. You see? And this is all, again, dealing with that, the destruction from the Babylonians, right? Which would be now the Edomites, you know. The Lamentations 4:19, our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heaven. They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness, you know. So it's getting ready to go. All right, as he's talking about, man. You know, great wrath, the sword. Okay, civil war, race wars. All right, chaos.
Oh, we're gonna hunt everybody. We got a purge coming. We're gonna purge America of all Islamic radicals and all these black gangsters and all they're doing is they're forcing the weak-minded rednecks and the weak-minded Fox News Republicans that will eat the shit out of Donald Trump's brief to force them to be able to cancel the elections. That's what they're doing. Their whole play is to have the weak-minded Americans that listen to every word that Donald Trump says to force elections to be canceled in the United States by there being civil unrest. And the people, the ignorant people that watch Fox News and listen to Donald Trump are too dumb to realize what's going on. These people are the dumbest people on the planet. That's why Donald Trump ran as a Republican, because he knew that he could manipulate these weak-minded individuals into doing whatever he wants. And now they're all behind him, and what they're doing is keeping him out of prison. Basically what they're doing for raping children. And these are supposed to be, you know, these good old boys, these rednecks, these are supposed to be the kind of men that would stop anybody from raping a little girl. But it's obvious that men in the South and rednecks in general could care less about anybody raping a child. This is proof. These people are 100% behind Donald Trump and would, like I've said before, would allow Donald Trump to rape their own child if he wanted to come to their house and do it. That's how weak-minded these people are. And it's an absolute disgrace to live in a country with all these morons. God loves you. I love you.
It's over. All right, real quick. All right. So we understand what's getting ready to happen. You know, this is not it's not a surprise to us. It's all prophecy. All right, Jeremiah the 30th chapter. Let's go there. Bear with me 1 second. All right, this is Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 4, and it reads, it says, and these are the words that the Lord Yahweh Shemir Washai spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. All right, the tribes. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shemir Washai, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. All right, and that's what's exactly going to happen. All right. It says, ask you now and see whether a man doeth travail with a child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. All right, telling you, it's just giving you a description of the terror that the Lord is about to bring upon this place and bring upon Jake. Right, it's 2/3. Alas, for that day is great. See, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. All right, and the Lord is going to have mercy upon his elect during those darkest hours, man. The Lord is going to provide safety and protection amongst his chosen, amongst the remnant, the elect. All right, but 2/3 are going to get slaughtered out here, man. This is what we've been constantly warning you all about. All right, so times are drastically changing. All right, again, we are in the midst of that beast system. All right, there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. This man is getting ready to come down with that wrath because his time is short. All right, So everything is there. All right, flock cameras, surveillance, okay, social credit scores, the MOTB. You see what I'm saying? You know, no access without buy. You can't buy and sell unless you have the mark. You know, all those things that tie into this thing, man. All right, so it's right in your face. No denying it. Shalom.